If you look at a map of Africa, your eyes go to the familiar shapes of the continent's largest nation. But down in the southwest corner, sandwiched between South Africa and Angola, facing the South Atlantic on a coast that sailors once called the Skeleton Coast, sits Namibia. At first glance, it looks remote, harsh, and inhospitable. But here's the first thing that surprises people. Namibia is bigger than Texas. It is bigger than France and the United Kingdom combined. It stretches from the oldest desert on Earth along its entire Atlantic coastline to the wildlife-rich plains of Etosha in the north, to the haunting orange dunes of Sossusvlei in the south, to the subtropical floodplains of the Caprivi Strip where 4 countries meet in the northeast. By every geographic measure, Namibia should be full of life. But when you switch the map to show where people actually live, something appears that stops you cold. Namibia has just 3.1 million people in a country bigger than Texas, making it one of the least densely populated countries on Earth. With fewer than 4 people per square kilometer, entire regions of Namibia can be crossed for hours without passing another human being. And of those 3.1 million people, only about 1 in 6 lives in the capital Windhoek, while vast stretches of this extraordinary country remain almost completely empty. So why does a country with striking stability, English as its official language, world-class wildlife, and one of Africa's most reliable economies have almost nobody living in it? And why are retirees beginning to discover what Namibia's empty map actually offers? That's what we're going to find out today. To understand Namibia's empty map, you have to start with the desert. The Namib Desert, the one that gives the country its name, is the oldest desert on Earth. Scientists estimate it has been continuously arid for 55 to 80 million years. The word Namib comes from the Nama language and means an area where there is nothing. The Namib runs the full length of Namibia's Atlantic coast, a strip of almost complete desolation where the cold Benguela current wells up from the deep ocean, cools the air above the coast, and causes the moisture-bearing winds from the sea to drop their rain before ever reaching land. The coast itself, lined with shipwrecks deposited by the treacherous surf and current combinations, earned its name the Skeleton Coast, not from dramatic battles, but from the bones of whales processed by long-gone shore stations, and from the bleached remains of sailors who made it to shore alive only to face a waterless desert stretching hundreds of miles inland. No harbor of note formed on this coast. No colony took root here easily. The Portuguese sailed past. The Dutch sailed past. The British showed little interest. Namibia remained one of the last territories in Africa to be formally colonized. And when the Germans finally arrived in the 1880s, they found a country that had kept people out for reasons entirely geological. Now leave the coast behind and look at the interior. Beyond the Namib, Namibia rises to a central plateau at around 1,700 meters above sea level, where Windhoek sits, where the climate is dry but mild, where the soil can support cattle ranching and some crops. But surrounding this central plateau, the land grades into the Kalahari Desert to the east, into semi-arid bushveld to the north, and back into the Namib to the west. Namibia has virtually no permanent rivers along most of its length. The great rivers, the Orange in the south, the Zambezi, and Okavango in the far north, mark its borders rather than watering its interior. The country receives, on average, just 270 millimeters of rain per year, and this average conceals enormous variation. The north receives more, the south almost nothing. Cattle ranching requires vast acreage per animal. Commercial farming without irrigation is marginal at best across most of the country. And like Paraguay, like Guyana, like Namibia's southern neighbor, the economics of the land simply did not require dense human settlement to exploit it. The result is a green and golden emptiness that is, paradoxically, one of the most beautiful landscapes on the planet. But the desert geography is only half the story. Namibia went through something that shaped its demographic landscape profoundly. Under German colonial rule from 1884 to 1915, the Herero and Nama peoples of Namibia experienced what is now recognized as the first genocide of the 20th century. Between 1904 and 1908, German colonial forces killed an estimated 65,000 of the 80,000 Herero people and around 10,000 of the 20,000 Nama people, pursuing a policy of deliberate extermination that decimated the indigenous population of central and southern Namibia. The country then passed to South African administration under apartheid, which maintained racial separation, restricted movement, and concentrated the African population into homelands in the north, while white settlers controlled the commercial farms of the center and south. When Namibia finally achieved independence in 1990, it inherited a demographic map drawn by colonialism, genocide, and apartheid. Today, Namibia is a functioning democracy, consistently ranked among Africa's most stable and transparent governments, but it inherited a population distribution still shaped by those historical forces. The north, where apartheid homelands were located, holds the majority of the population. The vast center and south remain sparsely settled, largely in the hands of commercial farms. But here's where Namibia's story takes a completely unexpected turn, because for a specific kind of retiree, Namibia's combination of factors is genuinely rare and genuinely compelling. English is the official language, the only country on the African mainland south of the Sahara where this is straightforwardly and practically true in everyday life. The political stability is exceptional for the region, with Namibia consistently earning top marks for governance, press freedom, and democratic institutions in African rankings. The natural environment, Etosha National Park, with its thousands of lions, leopards, elephants, rhinos, and giraffes, the dramatic red dunes of Sossusvlei, the seal colonies and shipwrecks of the Skeleton Coast, the stargazing in the Namibran Nature Reserve is world-class safari territory, and you would be living next to it permanently. And the cost of living is dramatically lower than most retirees expect from a country this stable and this infrastructure equipped. Over the past several years, a small but growing number of retirees and internationally mobile professionals have been discovering what Namibia's empty map actually offers. Let me show you what I mean. Windhoek sits on the Central Plateau at 1,700 meters above sea level, giving it a climate that surprises visitors who expect equatorial heat. Daytime temperatures are warm and sunny year-round, but the altitude keeps them comfortable rather than oppressive. Nights are cool, even in summer. Windhoek is a small, clean, modern city of around 400,000 people that punches well above its weight in terms of infrastructure, restaurants, shopping, and quality of life. It has the feel of a prosperous, mid-sized European city transplanted to the African bush, which is not entirely a coincidence given its German colonial architecture and the traditions that linger in its bakeries and restaurants. Rent for a comfortable one-bedroom apartment in a secure residential area of Windhoek runs $400 to $700 per month. A full meal at a mid-range restaurant, including Namibia's exceptional game meat and local produce, costs $10 to $20 per person. Private health insurance for a retiree runs $100 to $200 per month. Here's what a comfortable monthly budget looks like in Windhoek. Rent, $450 to $700. Food and dining out regularly, $250 to $400. Healthcare insurance, $150 to $250. Transportation and entertainment, $150 to $250. Total, $1,000 to $1,600 per month. A couple receiving average American Social Security benefits can live comfortably in Windhoek and have money left at the end of every month. But Windhoek isn't the only option. Look west toward the Atlantic coast. Swakopmund, a coastal town of around 45,000 people, sits at the edge of the Namib Desert, where the dunes meet the Atlantic Ocean in a landscape so surreal it was used as a filming location in Mad Max. The town itself looks like a German colonial town preserved in amber, with painted, half-timbered facades and bakeries serving genuine German pastries 100 years after colonialism ended. The cool Benguela Current keeps temperatures remarkably mild year-round, rarely exceeding 25 degrees Celsius even in summer, making it one of the most pleasant climates in southern Africa. Rent here runs $350 to $600 per month for a comfortable apartment. And then there is the small town of Luderitz in the Deep South, an even more perfectly preserved German colonial enclave at the edge of the Namib, where wild horses roam a desert plain outside town and Diamond Rush ghost towns have been swallowed by the moving sand. For retirees who want extreme remoteness and extraordinary beauty at minimal cost, the coast south of Swakopmund is unlike anything else on Earth. Now, let's talk about the practical side. Namibia has a specific temporary residence permit for retired persons, which allows non-citizens to live legally in Namibia for extended periods. To qualify for the retirement permit, you must be of retirement age, demonstrate financial self-sufficiency, and show proof of health insurance coverage. The permit is renewable and allows for an extended legal stay, though it does not lead directly to permanent residency through a simple accumulation of years, the way some programs do. Americans can enter Namibia under a visa on arrival arrangement for up to 90 days. For longer stays under the retirement permit, the application is processed through Namibian immigration. The cost of living is affordable enough that the financial requirements are accessible to most American retirees on Social Security. One important note on taxes: there is no U.S.-Namibia tax treaty, which means Americans living in Namibia still owe U.S. taxes on their global income as always, and Namibia taxes residents on Namibian-sourced income. For retirees living off U.S. Social Security and U.S. investment accounts, the Namibian tax burden is minimal, since that income is not sourced within Namibia, but consulting a tax professional familiar with both jurisdictions is strongly recommended. Healthcare in Namibia requires honest assessment. Windhoek has solid private healthcare facilities, and a private doctor visit costs $40 to $100. Private health insurance runs $100 to $250 per month for basic to comprehensive coverage. For routine care, chronic disease management, and general health maintenance, Windhoek's private hospitals handle these competently and affordably. For complex procedures, serious cardiac events, cancer treatment, or anything requiring highly specialized intervention, most expats and retirees plan for medical travel to South Africa, where Johannesburg and Cape Town offer hospital systems that rival the best in the developed world at a fraction of U.S. prices. Medical evacuation insurance is strongly recommended. The financial math still works handily. The combined cost of local private insurance and an international evacuation policy is far below what comparable coverage costs in the United States. Now, let's talk about something that matters just as much as the cost: community. Namibia's expat community is small but established, concentrated primarily in Windhoek and Swakopmund. The expat world in Windhoek, built around the NGO sector, mining companies, and diplomatic missions, is internationally connected and socially active. And because English is the official language used in government, business, schools, and most daily commerce, the fundamental social integration that can be so challenging in non-English speaking destinations comes easily in Namibia. The Namibian people, known for warmth and a relaxed, welcoming attitude toward foreigners, make the social experience genuinely pleasant, and the lifestyle itself. Namibia moves at a pace that most Americans find deeply restorative after the relentlessness of life in the United States. Windhoek is small enough that traffic jams are a minor inconvenience rather than a daily ordeal. The outdoor life is extraordinary. A short drive from Windhoek puts you in wild country where cheetahs and oryx cross the road. Etosha National Park, one of Africa's premier wildlife reserves, is 4 hours away and completely approachable on a self-drive visit. The stargazing in Namibia is among the best on Earth. The country has so little light pollution and such clear, dry skies that the Milky Way is a physical presence on any night away from the capital. The food culture features game meat, fresh Atlantic seafood, Namibian craft beers that have won international awards, and a fusion of African, German, and South African culinary traditions that produces genuinely distinctive cuisine. But here's what makes this moment particularly interesting. Namibia is actively positioning itself for increased international attention. The government has introduced a digital nomad visa requiring proof of income of $2,000 per month, which many retirees qualify for. Property prices remain low. A comfortable house in a good Windhoek neighborhood sells for $150,000 to $350,000. A coastal property in Swakopmund with ocean views, $100,000 to $250,000. For American retirees with U.S. property equity to deploy, buying in Namibia can eliminate housing costs entirely while preserving significant capital. Namibia remains one of geography's great paradoxes. A country bigger than Texas, with world-class wildlife, extraordinary desert landscapes, English as the official language, one of Africa's most stable democracies, and fewer than 4 people per square kilometer, leaving most of this spectacular country to the elephants, the oryx, the desert, adapted lions, and the silence. Its map wasn't drawn by poverty or chaos. It was drawn by the oldest desert on Earth that kept colonizers away for centuries, by a colonial history of extraction and atrocity that concentrated and then displaced populations, by a ranching economy that needed land and not people, and by a political geography inherited from apartheid that has taken decades to begin to change. But for retirees looking for something extraordinary, something stable, something English-speaking, something with genuine natural wonder at the doorstep, and a cost of living that makes the finances work, Namibia's empty map is not a warning. It is one of the most remarkable invitations in the world. An invitation to live in a country where elephants roam free outside the city, where the oldest desert on Earth turns orange at sunset, 50 miles from your front door, where the English language and modern infrastructure and African warmth combine in a way that exists nowhere else on the continent. Namibia chose conservation over development, quality over quantity, and in doing so, it preserved something that the modern world is rapidly running out of: space, silence, and wild things. A country that is almost empty and almost incomparable. Before we wrap up, if Namibia is seriously on your radar, here are 10 facts you need to know before you make the move. Fact number 1. Namibia is the first country in the world to include the protection of the environment in its constitution. When Namibia gained independence in 1990, the founding document specifically mandated environmental protection as a state obligation. The result, 3 decades later, is one of the most successful conservation stories in Africa. Wildlife populations that were decimated under colonial rule have rebounded dramatically. Namibia is the only country in the world where cheetah populations are actually growing rather than shrinking. Community-based conservation programs have made wildlife economically valuable to rural communities, creating an alignment between human prosperity and wildlife survival that has worked. Fact number 2, your U.S. Social Security benefits are paid in full, even if you live in Namibia. Namibia is not on the Social Security Administration's list of countries where payments are restricted. Your check arrives every month in full, deposited directly into your U.S. bank account, accessible through international ATMs in Windhoek, Swakopmund, and other major towns. Fact number 3. English is the official language of Namibia and is used in government, law, business, and education throughout the country. While Namibians speak many indigenous languages among themselves, English is the de facto language of professional and public life. For American retirees, this means the fundamental communication barrier that makes daily life challenging in so many otherwise attractive retirement destinations simply does not exist in Namibia. Fact number 4. The Namibia Desert is the oldest desert on Earth, estimated to have been continuously arid for 55 to 80 million years. It predates the dinosaurs' extinction. It is also home to some of the most extraordinary landscapes on the planet. The towering orange dunes of Sossusvlei, which rise up to 325 meters and are among the tallest dunes in the world. The Deadvlei with its ancient dead camel thorn trees, preserved by the extreme dryness for over 900 years, and the Skeleton Coast, where the cold Atlantic crashes against iron-colored sand backed by dunes that stretch to the horizon. As a Namibian resident, these landscapes are a weekend drive away. Fact number 5. Etosha. National Park is one of Africa's greatest wildlife reserves, and it is free for Namibian residents to visit at dramatically reduced rates. The park covers 22,270 square kilometers of semi-arid savanna, centered on a massive salt pan visible from space. Thousands of elephants, lions, leopards, cheetahs, black rhinos, giraffes, zebras, and wildebeest gather around the waterholes, especially in the dry season when the pan dominates the landscape. Unlike many African safari destinations that require expensive guided tours, Etosha is accessible on a self-drive basis for visitors in their own vehicle. As a Namibian resident, this world-class wildlife experience is in your backyard. Fact number 6. Namibia has one of the best stargazing environments on Earth. The country has extremely low population density, almost no light pollution outside the major towns, and a high-altitude plateau with clear, dry skies for most of the year. The Namibia Nature Reserve in southern Namibia has been designated an International Dark Sky Reserve, one of only a handful on Earth, where the Milky Way is not a faint smear, but a brilliant river of light dominating the sky. For retirees who have spent decades in light-polluted American cities where stars are a rare sight, Namibian skies are genuinely life-changing. Fact number 7. Namibia's windhoek sits at 1,700 meters above sea level, which gives it a climate that defies most expectations of equatorial Africa. Daytime temperatures are warm and sunny year-round, typically 25 to 30 degrees Celsius in summer and 18 to 25 degrees Celsius in winter. Humidity is consistently low. Rain falls mostly in short afternoon thunderstorms during the summer months from November to April, and winters from May to August are dry, warm, and cloudless. There are no hurricanes, no monsoons, and no extreme cold. The climate is among the most consistently pleasant of any African capital and bears no resemblance to the humid heat most Americans associate with sub-Saharan Africa. Fact number 8. Namibia produces exceptional seafood and game meat that are among the most sustainably and ethically sourced in the world. The cold Benguela Current off the Namibian coast creates one of the world's most productive fishing grounds, making fresh Atlantic fish, oysters, and crayfish abundant and affordable in coastal towns and windhoek alike. Namibia's game meat, kudu, oryx, springbok, and warthog is raised on unfenced communal land under sustainable harvesting programs and is available in butchers and restaurants throughout the country at prices far below equivalent quality meat in the United States. Fact number 9. Namibia is consistently ranked among Africa's least corrupt and most transparent governments. The country scores in the top 3 on the African continent in transparency. International's Corruption Perceptions Index in most years, ahead of South Africa, Botswana, and virtually every other sub-Saharan nation. The legal system inherited from South African common law functions reliably, property rights are enforced, and contracts are respected. For retirees considering an African destination, Namibia's institutional reliability is a genuine differentiator from most of the continent. Fact number 10. Namibia has some of the best self-drive safari infrastructure in Africa. Unlike East African safari destinations, where most wildlife viewing requires expensive guided vehicles and licensed operators, Namibia has invested in a network of well-maintained national park roads, rest camps, and watering hole hides that allow visitors and residents to experience wildlife independently. A retiree with their own vehicle and the time to plan can spend a week driving through Etosha, camping in park accommodation, watching elephants drink at sunset at a tiny fraction of what a comparable guided safari experience costs in Kenya or Tanzania. The entire Namibian tourism infrastructure is built for the independent traveler, which means it is built for retirees with time and freedom. Namibia isn't the most talked about retirement destination. It doesn't appear on the standard lists alongside Costa Rica or Portugal or Panama. But for retirees who have done the research, who want English, wildlife, stability, extraordinary landscapes, and a cost of living that works on a retirement income, Namibia keeps appearing as something genuinely rare, an African destination with first-world governance and infrastructure, where the natural world is right outside the door, and where the silence is so complete on a clear night that you can hear the stars. A country that is almost empty and almost incomparable. Now, I want to hear from you. Would you consider retiring in Namibia? And which appeals to you more? The modern capital and cultural life of Windhoek, the surreal coastal beauty of Swakopmund, or the complete remoteness of the southern desert? Leave your answer in the comments below.